have you, in your experience, seen companies who are much more deliberate about, trying to really make this, a competency. I won't use the word competency, but something that becomes into their DNA. And I suspect that calls for a culture that's underlying culture, which creates the conditions for that, right? So I'm curious to know, are there companies that you can think about where everybody tends to thrive and share and perhaps create a social network, and if you're not in that kind of an environment, or even if you are in that environment, I think everybody probably want to know transactionally, like, okay, I'm going to start. I heard this episode and I've heard this, and how long might it take for me? So, what advice would you give there as well, right? Is there some magic number? My sense is probably no, but I want to hear from you.
Definitely. So, to your first question, yes, there are many companies that have successfully created a culture of, strong networking internally by working on open communications, by working on collaboration, sense of community among, their employees. Some key strategies that I would say, which are included in these are networking events, definitely. Creating mentorship programs, because as I said that, we need to work with those cognitive biases. And for that matter, not even cognitive biases, the unconscious biases, which we're not even conscious to. So we need a proper, mentorship program where, you can be mentored through a long time, to make you come out of these biases. Then encouraging cross-departmental collaboration, as I said, right? And providing opportunities for employees to connect both personally and virtually, because in these days when you have a lot of, work from home ventures, so we should not really miss out on that particular aspect that, we're not all sitting in the workplace, but we also are sitting at the comfort of our houses. But then we need to be connected with the fellow colleagues and, the fellow employees in the organization. For that matter, I myself have facilitated a number of programs and workshops, for a few of these companies. And it feels so good to see how, these companies have started focusing on having a culture wherein social capital is an important element. So as you said very rightly, so that, it becomes a part of their DNA and everything that flows out of it. And as for the time frame, definitely.
Yeah, do you get that question? I'm curious. So yeah.
At times, yes. At times, yes. But then, I particularly feel that companies typically focus on building trust and relationships, and this can only be done over time. I mean, as I said, that, pacing is a very important, element of behavior. Because if I'm trying to build a relationship with you, I mean, I can do it overnight, but it might take an entire lifetime to do that. Right. So, I mean, you cannot force relationship building on people and say that, you have to work together. It always takes a lot of time, and rather than setting a specific timeline, it does require consistent effort from leadership. That is more important. So it's not about whether it happens in 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 months, or whether it has taken 2 years and things haven't started. But what you need is a consistent effort from your side. And especially you need to take, you need to come back and take, feedback as to why things are not happening if they're not happening. So you need to keep revising things. It's a very evolving, sort of an exercise. You cannot say that once you've set a particular plan from point A to point Z, everything has to function the way it is. I mean, there would be a lot of instances where you need to go back and make the entire plan, because maybe something is not working. We're dealing with people, we're dealing with different minds, we're dealing with different hearts. So definitely, the combination that you have of people within your organization will define the design of your intervention. And see, each company's journey towards establishing a strong, internal networking culture may vary based on their unique organizational structure also. Their goals, their workforce dynamics, as I said, that, it's not only about making people come together, but they need to come together towards a shared vision, because that is what they are there in the organization for. So that alignment of people together, but then that alignment of people to their teams and their teams to the organization is also very, very important. So depending upon what is the unique organization, structure that you have in your workplace, and what is the workforce dynamics then alongside that, will also decide how much time it takes. And hence time and effort too is like very, very, specific to each of these organizations. Yeah. And yes, it takes time. And it should be given its due time. I mean, it should.
No, I also asked this, Smriti, because, in the modern world, let's face it, I think there is rightly or wrongly, there is this view that a lot of us are, popularly we see that, what's in it for me, right? Why do I invest? In other words, that's I'd like for you to comment, and my view to this would be that, when you're building this capital or when you're forging this, right, it is not all about what you can get out of someone, rather what you can give in. And I think I say this, certainly for the experienced leaders, but maybe they over years may have learned that. But for the Gen Z generation, right? And I hate to stereotype, but I think in a world where it's all about like, okay, if I do this, then that's what I get in return, right? So what advice would you have there? Because it seems very transactional approach, right? And I think that's what you
Yes.
want to kind of let them know that, look, it's a longitudinal approach to kind of creating this network for you.
Definitely, definitely. See, for those who want to see everything in numbers, numbers are going to change, but then it's going to take time. But more important than numbers is the quality of your workplace. I mean, see, your workplace is a place where you go in the morning and be there for the rest of your day. And you're going to do this for the entire work life, working ages of yours. So, something that we call a work-life balance. The problem with this mentality is that when we talk of work, we say that is one place where we are working and then we have a life. Why can't we get life into our workplaces? And the moment the quality of your organization improves, which depends heavily on the relationships that people have with each other in the organization. It's not about what my relationship is with the other person. The way I see my team mingling with each other, the sort of culture that I see with respect to collaboration and teamwork in my organization, before it actually translates into something like good profits or good numbers, it feels good to see that people are working together. So that is something which is the quality of my work, that is the quality of my workplace. And I think that is worth investing in. I mean, even if you cannot see, overnight something changing with respect to, your bar graphs and your pie charts, that might not be happening over time. But what can happen over time is that the very next morning when you'll go to your workplace, you would see those smiling faces. You would feel like going to that office. You would feel like sitting there for hours and even working, overtime. So that is something that we should strive for. I mean, numbers can always be changed.
Yeah.